And Israel says it's launching limited and targeted ground operations against Hezbollah strongholds in southern Lebanon. The IDF says that's part of broader defensive efforts to establish and strengthen a forward defensive posture and, quote, create an additional layer of security for residents of northern Israel. Israel has hit hundreds of targets around Lebanon since the conflict reignited. And the Lebanese health ministry says at least 850 people have been killed, including 107 children. Humanitarian organizations also report hundreds of thousands have been displaced. Now, Israel's defense minister says displaced Lebanese people won't be allowed to return home until people of northern Israel are safe. Mercy Corps Lebanon Crisis Analysis Team leader Elie Yaacoub is here in Beirut with more. With more. Elie, thank you for coming on. What are you seeing in Beirut, and what kind of work are you doing there right now?
So currently we have around 830,000 people displaced in Lebanon, around 300,000 of which are children. Currently we have 630 collective shelters in Lebanon housing around 15% of the total displaced people. These collective shelters are public schools, so this is putting additional pressure on our educational sector. We've got thousands of people laying on the streets and setting up tents on the streets and across the shore in Lebanon. And the weather has been extremely harsh the last 2 days, so most of these displaced people were soaking in the rain. Also, a lot of the other displaced are currently trying to rent places all across Lebanon to seek refuge, but if, and as it seems that the war will prolong and escalate, these people's abilities to pay rent will be exacerbated. From our side as Mercy Corps, we are doing all we could to respond to the situation. We are distributing food items, hot and cold meals, and also core relief items such as blankets and so on. We also foresee the crisis being prolonged, and unfortunately with the disruption of trade and also the increase in fuel prices, Lebanon will see its food and fuel prices increasing, which will add additional burden on the households, especially the most needy.
What's your biggest concern now that Israel's launching ground operations?
Our biggest concern now is that we expect more and more displaced people to take place, and it's a complete humanitarian catastrophe, especially with the recent cut of funding that Lebanon has received, and it has exacerbated our ability to respond properly. So we do call for further support for Lebanon in order for us to be able to respond. And also there is the targeting of health facilities, and more than 30 people, health workers, have been killed since the 2 weeks. So we're also heading into a bit of a health crisis, along with a livelihood crisis, with people losing their abilities to work.
Israel has issued evacuation orders and dropped leaflets ahead of strikes. Are civilians getting those warnings?
Civilians are getting those warnings, but the warnings of evacuation are extending massively. So we have had all the suburbs of Beirut and all the south being had evacuation orders. So we're talking about around 30% of the country. So in general, even if these evacuation orders are in place, the people have nowhere to go. So it's a humanitarian catastrophe.
France is trying to arrange direct talks between Israel and Lebanon. What's your message to officials on both sides?
We are a humanitarian organization, and from our perspective, we hope that this war will end as soon as possible.
All right, Elie Yaacoub with Mercy Corps in Beirut. We appreciate your time, Elie. Thank you.